Hey, Washington, D.C., class it up with Crocs. You know back to school is coming in fast. So why wait to find your new fave footwear? Step into a local Crocs store and step into your new look. Try it, style it, make it yours. Because the right pair doesn't just show up, it shows off. First day fits, handled. Walk out ready for whatever's next. Visit your nearest Crocs store today.
This message is brought to you by Apple Card. Shave ice by the beach. A trip to the state fair. And a throwback flick at the local drive-in. They're more than just items to check off the summer bucket list. They're also opportunities to earn 2% daily cash back when you use your Apple Card with Apple Pay. Apply for Apple Card now and use in-minutes with Apple Pay. Subject to credit approval. Apple Card is issued by Goldman Sachs Bank USA, Salt Lake City branch. Terms and more at applecard.com.
Morning decisions. How about a creamy mocha frappuccino drink? Or sweet vanilla? Smooth caramel maybe? Or a white chocolate mocha? Whichever you choose, delicious coffee awaits. Find Starbucks Frappuccino drinks wherever you buy your groceries.
Hello and welcome to the Paddock and the Pavilion with me, Stephen Wallis, for the latest in my What Was It Like To series. Today we turn to the world of football as award-winning sporting author and former Times journalist Richard Whitehead tells us what it was like to follow the FA Cup all the way from the extra preliminary round to the third round. Richard takes us on a journey through 11 matches from Bradford-on-Avon to Tottenham Hotspur as we discover that the magic of the FA Cup is still very much alive. Hello, Richard. Thank you for joining me on my What Was It Like To series on the Paddock and the Pavilion.
Good to see you again, Stephen.
So what was it like to watch the FA Cup from the extra preliminary round until the third round?
Well, just fantastic. I mean, I love the FA Cup and I always have. And one of the things I love about it is not just the pomp and pageantry of the final, but I love those early rounds, starting this year on August the 1st, Friday, August the 7th, I think, is the start date. There's lots of games been moved to Friday nights. People think they can get bigger crowds. So I love those early stages and seeing the real minnows of the competition scrap it out. You know, those clubs, they're never going to get anywhere near even the first round proper, but there's still prize money in it for them, and they still want to get as far as they can and possibly to draw one of the big non-league clubs. So there's a real magic in going to a match very early in August in a competition involving over 700 teams that will end at Wembley in May, and there's a real magic about that, I think.
And this was during 2025-2026, is that right?
Yeah, last season I had a crack at doing a game in every round. Now, I was thwarted. I did the first 9 rounds. That's extra preliminary to third round proper. But was thwarted by the fact that my wife and I went on a very big holiday to New Zealand.
That's not handy, is it? No.
No, you can't pop there for a long weekend, can you, as you know? So I ended up missing the 4th and 5th rounds. So my sort of ambition to do a game in every round was thwarted by a very nice holiday, I should say, which involved watching a bit of football and a bit of cricket. But
is it something you always wanted to do?
Well, there's a classic book which you may be aware of, Stephen, called The Road to Wembley, and it was written by one of the great sports writers, Brian James, who in the 1976-77 series followed the FA Cup for the Daily Mail, which is where he worked there. And his features appeared on a Monday, and then it was all collected into a book. And he started at Hinckley Athletic v Tividale. Tividale is in the Black Country, for anyone who doesn't know. And Tividale won, so he followed Tividale then until they got knocked out. And I mean, logistically, I can't aim for something like that, to do what people call a trail. an FA Cup trail, follow the winners of each tie. That's too tough for me logistically, but to do a tie in each round has always been an ambition. Yeah. 14 rounds. If you get to the final, that's 14 rounds in all.
Now, I know you're a football fanatic. You've already said that. And you also wrote a book for the 150th anniversary of the competition.
I did. The Cup, a pictorial history of the competition, a pictorial history, a celebration of the world's greatest cup competition for the 150th anniversary, which was in 2022. 1872 was the first FA Cup competition. So I did that book and I was really proud of it. Didn't sell many copies, unfortunately, but it was a pictorial history, and I went out of my way to choose photographs and edit photographs that you possibly hadn't seen in previous books. So there's a lot of highly unusual photographs in there that you hadn't seen before. And then to tell the story of what was happening in that photograph, what was that all about? And that allowed me to explore, some of the myths and legends of the competition, not just the finals. It's not just about the famous finals, although all the famous finals are in there, So yeah, that was a great book to do, great fun to do, yeah.
And can you remember the first FA Cup match you saw live?
I think I can, Stephen. My club, Aston Villa, had a bit of when I first started going in the late 60s, early 70s, we had a very bad run in in the FA Cup. At that stage, we'd won it more times than any other club, and I grew up with this bit of, on my mother's knee, I learnt that the Villa had won the FA Cup more than any other club, 7 times. I did not think that I would get to the age of 65 and still be waiting for us to win it for an 8th time. It's unbelievably frustrating. It's become like will they do it before while I'm still here to see it? So my first one, I think, was a magical one, and possibly also my favourite one, and that's in 1973-74. Villa, in the middle of the second division, not doing much, drew Arsenal away in the 4th round, and slightly improbably got a draw at Highbury. But our great centre forward, a fantastic character called Sammy Morgan, was sent off for a challenge on Bob Wilson. Everybody will remember Bob Wilson, the Arsenal goalkeeper. And the suspicion was, and I don't think this was the case, the suspicion was that Wilson had got him sent off as players now do all the time, making his injury worse than it was, basically. I don't think it was, but Clive Thomas sent Sammy Morgan off, but Villa still scraped, with 10 men, scraped to replay. And the atmosphere, my dad got us tickets for the replay, and the atmosphere at Villa Park that night of the replay was one of the greatest I have ever known. And Villa did something which they didn't normally do and didn't like to do, is that they kicked towards the Holt end first, thereby subjecting Bob Wilson to this cauldron behind him of the massive Holt end, the biggest terrace in the country, seething with rage. And sure enough, Sammy Morgan, you've just made me think about something here, Stephen, but I imagine that in those days the suspensions were not automatic, so obviously he was clear to play in the replay. After about 12 minutes, Sammy Morgan scored, and the noise that greeted that goal, poor Bob Wilson, it was a header he should really have saved, but I think he was just a bag of nerves. And Sammy Morgan scored. Villa went 1-0 up, and the atmosphere was absolutely unbelievable. And Villa later got a second goal, won the game 2-0, got knocked out in the next round. But that was my live introduction to the FA Cup, and I'd still probably say that's the greatest FA Cup tie I've seen.
But you're still waiting for Villa to win the cup.
Still waiting for Villa to win it again. When we got to the semi-final in 2025 and played Crystal Palace, I thought this is the year, isn't it? This is going to be the year. So when we lost 3-0 that day, that was as upset as I've ever been about the result of a football match, I think. I went out for a long walk.
What about the first final you ever
Yeah,
remember?
the first final, that's a great memory, and I wrote about that in the introduction to the book. 1969, Manchester City 1, Leicester City 0. Neil Young got the winning goal. So I would have been just 8-9 years old. And in those days, as everyone will remember, the cup final was one of the few live games on television. Absolutely the blue ribbon event of the season. That was not in question. A full day of TV coverage in the build-up, all those programs that we remember so well in the build-up, all the breakfast at the team hotels and cameras on the coaches to Wembley. It was such you couldn't help but be impressed by all that. I used the phrase earlier, didn't I? Pomp and pageantry. I mean, there was no other football match like it, Stephen, was there? You'll remember. For one thing, it was the only time the teams came out side by side. In all other football, they just ran out of the tunnel separately, didn't they? 5 minutes to 3. So there was all that great, and the presentation of the cup and the presence of royalty. It was just so magical, so magical. You couldn't not be taken away by all of that.
No, it is hard to imagine and remember how big an event the FA Cup final was on television, because the only other games that, as a youngster, you would see would be the occasional big international match or the England-Scotland game, which would always be on live.
Yeah, a fortnight later, you'd be sitting down to watch England-Scotland, wouldn't you, at the conclusion of the home internationals. The European finals were generally live, weren't they? And definitely if there was an English team in it. But I think that was it. That really was it. So, yeah, the cup final was just so magical.
You even had people like Cliff Richard and Bruce Forsyth running on the pitch to start as well.
Saw some film of Bruce Forsyth doing the other day, doing the community singing. And they Abide With Me beforehand. I went into all that in the book. I found out the story of Abide With Me, and yeah, but also, Stephen, and that's one of the reasons we're talking now, isn't it? It's just, how can I put it? In those days, obviously, I had no idea about non-league football and the way the tournament, began right back. Wouldn't have begun in August in those days, but the way the tournament began right back towards the start of the season, all the various rounds, all the various exemptions. I mean, in this year's FA Cup, Stephen, I've been doing my research here.
How many teams that start off?
743 clubs are in this season's FA Cup, starting, as I say, on Friday, August 7th. And there'll be a big competition to see who scores the first goal of the competition in those Friday night games. It'll be someone in those Friday night games. I did look this up for you. There are 18 ties on Friday, August the 7th, the evening of Friday, August the 7th. So there'll be a lot of competition for the first goal.
Now, your journey in 2025-26, how did you choose your first game, which is, looking on my list, Bradford Town against Bournemouth?
Yes, Bradford Town against Bournemouth. Well, it was one of those things. I'd never been to, I'm one of those ground hoppers who likes to find new grounds. I'd never been to, this is Bradford-on-Avon for anybody who's scratching their heads.
And this is not Bournemouth in the Premier League in the extraordinary round either.
Bournemouth FC, not AFC Bournemouth. But they play in the Wessex League, and they're usually known as Bournemouth Poppies. So I'd never been to Bradford Town. I knew Bradford-on-Avon was a very nice town. So with my friend David Brown, who was with me for all of these games, we thought, well, that'd be quite nice to go to Bradford. We could take our wives with us, not to the game, I hasten to add. Have a nice lunch in Bradford, leave them to go off and look round and go off to the game. So it was a one chosen because it was an attractive town to visit, really. That was how we chose Bradford. But it was great. Bradford beat Bournemouth 3-1 in front of 271 people. And in one of those great quirks that you get at non-league football, and one of the reasons why I love it so much, they had music before the teams came out, which is an adaptation of John Denver's "Take Me Home, Country Roads," with the chorus was "Take Me Home, Trowbridge Road," which is the name of where Bradford Town's ground is. So there was one of those lovely little eccentric touches that you get in non-league.
And in that extra preliminary round, you then took in a replay as well between AFC Portchester and Melksham Town.
Yes, a bit of Wiltshire there, Melksham. AFC Portchester, yeah. I mean, that is the joy for those first 6 rounds. You still have replays. So if you can't get somewhere on the Saturday, you can rescue the situation on a Tuesday evening. Portchester v Melksham contained a goal by Portchester's Lee Ward, which went viral on social media the next day, and was, I think, nominated for the Puskas Award for the best goal in European football. It was a Bergkamp-esque a control of a pass and a step inside, and then he finished it, and we weren't even aware of this as we were at the other end of the
no
ground.
replays there, obviously.
No replays. No, he finished with a Rabona type finish, and only when we saw the video when we got home did we realize what a brilliant finish it was. We knew it was a brilliant goal because of his great 2 touches and finish, but we didn't realize just quite how brilliant it was. So that was another highlight, and we're only in the extra preliminary round.
You said replays, I think now only until the...
Yeah, first round proper, no replays. Yeah, so the game I went to in the first round proper went to extra time, actually, on the Saturday afternoon. So,
is it sad that there's no more replays? I actually looked up, it's being an Arsenal fan, and in 1979 when they played Sheffield Wednesday, there were 4 replays.
4 semi-finals. Yeah, that's in my book too. Yeah, and I think Arsenal-Liverpool, there was a long sequence of replays, wasn't there, one year? Yeah, the end of replays is a terrible thing, and the greed and selfishness of the big clubs has led to that, I think.
I can't understand why there aren't any for the first and second round. That's why.
No, absolutely madness, isn't it? Because that's an incredible source of. I mean, I've already told you that my favourite FA Cup tie of all time was a replay. That's just the selfishness of the big clubs, because that's such a potential gold mine. If you're a League One or a League Two club now drawn away to a Premier League club, it's doubly hard, because you can't. If you got them to a draw at 90 minutes, you're still not. You haven't earned the right to take them back to your ground and make some money and scare the living daylights out of them. So that's a terrible loss. Replay's a terrible loss.
And especially, as you said, in the third round, because I remember locally, Cambridge managed to take Manchester United to a draw, and is it Exeter? They took, I think, Man United as well to draws and made lots of money out of replays, didn't they?
Yes, yeah. I mean, Burton Albion, for instance, are now an established league club. Basically, that was all built on holding Manchester United to a draw in about, I'm going to say 2003, around that time. The money they got from an Old Trafford replay, they invested so wisely. They built a new ground, and they are now an established Football League club. Not just because of that replay, but mainly because of that replay they got with Manchester United all those years ago.
Let's look at the first qualifying round. You went to Fareham as a replay. Actually, Fareham won, Winchester City.
Yeah, what before that, in the preliminary round...
oh, yes, I missed that. There's so many rounds. I've missed one. Yeah,
I went to the New Forest, Bashley, club I used to be involved with, and I worked down in Bournemouth. Saw them lose to Winchester City in a cracking game, actually. Only 1 goal, but a cracking game, I recall. And then in the first qualifying round, where another load of clubs come in, having seen Winchester go through, we then saw them knocked out by Fareham Town. So not a game that lives in the memory, but... so then we go on to the second qualifying round again, when I managed to see 2 games there, Stephen.
But they would be close together. One would be a Saturday, and one would be early part of the next week.
A Tuesday night, yeah. There's none of that. We went to that in the later rounds. We went to that waiting for 10 days for a replay, didn't we? supposedly on police, because the police asked for that. But yeah, no, these games are, the replays are a few days later. So I watched Shaftesbury v Frome in the second qualifying round, which was a draw, and a derby, so there was a good atmosphere there. And then, moving up the non-league ladder a little bit for a replay, I went to Slough Town v Welling United. So we're now getting to seeing sort of more.
Your National League South, I guess, there.
Yeah, you're getting now both National League South. You're getting now bigger grounds, bigger non-league clubs. Some of them just coming into it at that stage.
Did you make yourself aware to some of these clubs that you were doing this, or did people know?
Because I think they probably, they're just, I'm not such an oddball as you might think, Stephen. There'll be quite a lot of people doing that, I think. So maybe, though, if we do it this season and we get to a round later on where we can't get tickets, that might be, some sort of begging bowl might go out in the form of, I've been to a game in every round and, I deserve a ticket for the final or whatever. So we'll see.
There was no trouble getting tickets for these games. Then
No, none at all. No, none at all.
Where we're up to, third qualifying round. Now we're getting with teams that are obviously thinking about getting to that first round.
Yeah, that's a very good point you make there. Third qualifying round, another replay, Bracknell v Flackwell Heath. I mean, that in terms of seniority, this was very much Bracknell's game. They would have been big favourites.
Where on earth is Flackwell Heath?
It's just off the M40. Someone's gonna slaughter me if I get the county wrong, but I'm going to say it's in Buckinghamshire. So Flackwell Heath beat Bracknell 3-0, which is a bit of an upset. I think they went out in the next round, Flackwell Heath, but that was a bit of an upset.
Because there's always, and has been in the past, these quirks where the first round has included, I know one year, I think it was Norwich, Southampton and Leeds were all in the first round one year. So there's always that one or two teams that have slipped out of the championship and suddenly then playing a first round game.
Yeah, as everybody will know listening, I'm sure, is that the League One and League Two clubs come in the first round proper. So if you get a Leeds or Manchester City would have done, wouldn't they, when they were in League One? I mean, I remember I talked earlier about Villa's terrible record when I first started supporting them. We were in our 2 years in what was then the third division. We were knocked out in the first round both times. So, record winners or not, we were knocked out. So, and you talk then. So by the time you get to the fourth qualifying round, the National League clubs come in, and that the first round is waiting for you then. So that adds a frisson, I think. We went to a replay at Brackley in Oxfordshire, Brackley Town, against Woking. And the winners of that game knew that they were going to be playing Notts County at home in the first round proper. So that gave that a real... there was a real edge to that game because of that knowledge that was coming up. And sure enough, Brackley beat Woking 6-2 on the night, so it wasn't close. And did play Notts County, and it was live on BBC television. So for Brackley, there would have been a real goldmine there, not just the prize money for winning the game, which is decent, but the money from having the game live on TV. And they beat Notts County as well. So Brackley were proper giant killers.
I always think when you get to that fourth qualifying round draw, and you always see it, there'll be some club who've probably even gone from the preliminary round or first round qualifying, get to that round, but they really do want to avoid one of those National League clubs in that draw, don't they?
Yeah, they do. To be a reasonably junior non-league club. I think Malden and Tiptree got the furthest this year, from the furthest down the pyramid. And you really, really don't want to draw a National League club or you want to tie with a little bit of glamour, don't you? So you're right, but there are still a lot of National League clubs left in it. So you've got a good chance of getting a draw you don't really want.
Hey, Washington, D.C., class it up with Crocs. You know back to school is coming in fast. So why wait to find your new fave footwear? Step into a local Crocs store and step into your new look. Try it, style it, make it yours. Because the right pair doesn't just show up, it shows off. First day fits, handled. Walk out ready for whatever's next. Visit your nearest Crocs store today.
So in the first round, you went off to... Crowds are going up. You're going to watch Reading against Carlisle, nearly 4,000 people.
Yeah, although, the Reading ground, quite a lot of it was not open on that day, which was quite a surprise to me. Reading Carlisle, that was a cracking game. Carlisle managed by Mark Hughes, a man with a fantastic FA Cup pedigree. And Reading were 2-0 up and absolutely coasting into about the last 5 minutes, I think. And Carlisle scored twice very late on. They had a decent support, Carlisle, given the enormous distance to travel down on that day. Took the game into extra time and then won it in extra time. So that was a real upset. Yeah, Carlisle knocking out Reading. Yeah, because some people won't realise that Carlisle are currently a non-league club, but the traffic between League Two and the National League is now so fluid that the National League is full of clubs that you and I think of as, classic lower division football league clubs.
Second round. Now, this is the round where everyone's dreaming of playing Manchester United in the third round, or Manchester City, or Arsenal, or Tottenham. All these big clubs, aren't they?
Yeah. Boreham Wood v Newport, again on BBC TV. Boreham Wood beat Newport County 3-0. Now, here I think is where some of the madness has taken hold among football league clubs, because, as you know, Stephen, it's quite common now for bigger clubs to field not their strongest teams in the early rounds. I think that's absolutely balmy, by the way. But I suppose if you're in the Champions League and they still seem to be able to get to the finals, don't they? Even with that, so maybe they know what they're doing. But that has percolated down to all the football league clubs who now look at an FA Cup tie and think, I don't know I don't know how we're going to approach that. So that day, Newport County did not field their strongest team away to a National League club. Now, to me, if Newport County had won that day, they could have drawn Liverpool at Anfield or Manchester United at Old Trafford and instantly solved any financial problems that they had, and not only that, but filled up their bank account as well. So not to play your strongest team just seemed utter madness to me, and I was pleased that Boreham Wood beat them just for that reason, really. And although, to be fair to Newport County, they did avoid relegation from League Two, so maybe the manager would say the end justified the means, but that seemed like a sort of madness to me. In the second round, one win away from a really lucrative tie potentially, not to play your best team. Bizarre, utterly bizarre.
We mustn't forget that during all these rounds, going back to the extra preliminary round, clubs are getting prize money vital to their clubs to get through to next rounds, aren't they?
Yes, I looked this up for you. The winners of the extra preliminary round on August the 7th and 8th get £1,125. So that's not bad. The prize money, the FA actually have done a really good job with the prize money. And, that's not bad money at that level. And of course, the more ties they win, the more they get. Do you know how much you get for winning the competition now, Stephen? I looked this up this morning.
I've no idea at all. Is it like $1 million or?
You get £2 million for winning the FA Cup now, which again is a bit of a drop in the ocean if you're Manchester City, but still, I suppose the FA think they have to, have that level of prize money just to add to the prestige, really.
And in your last journey, you went to, got to get this right, the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, the biggest crowd you saw as well.
Yeah, it was. That again on TV. I get Tottenham playing my club, Aston Villa, but that was very difficult because I got the tickets from a Tottenham season ticket holder. I won't name him. So I had to keep very quiet when Villa scored. Fortunately, I managed that. But, to have begun the journey at Trowbridge Road, Bradford, take me home Trowbridge Road, and to end it at what's probably the best stadium in Britain and one of the best in Europe, that illustrated to me just what's so special about the Cup, really. I mean, that is a magnificent stadium, absolutely magnificent. And it was fantastic to go there on a Saturday evening. And as I said, but for my holiday, we would have carried on into the fourth and fifth round, I think.
Did you work out how much travelling you did over all those rounds?
Yeah, it's not too much, is it? I live in Hampshire, so we're starting in Wilts, Hampshire, Dorset. No, there's nothing up north there, Stephen. So, or even into the Midlands, is there? So, totting up the miles didn't really come into it. But I'm quite relaxed about travelling. I was watching football in Scotland last week, so I'm very relaxed about travelling should it be necessary.
Would it be fair to ask you what the favourite ground you went to?
Well, Tottenham is so impressive. Have you been there?
No, I haven't been to Spurs.
No,
As an Arsenal
there's
fan, that's not as easy as you think.
No. Well, I urge you, if you can, for one of your contacts can get you a ticket, I urge you to go because it is absolutely magnificent. It really is. Everything about it is, even sort of backstage, if you know what I mean, on the concourses and refreshments, toilets, all that stuff about it. It's incredibly impressive. So I'd have to say that. But other grounds that I like, I mean, I love, as I said, Bradford Town was very charming. Bashley in the New Forest, a little village in the New Forest. That's also very nice, tree-lined ground. Shaftesbury is one of those grounds, very much in the town centre at the hub of the community, and I really like going there. I've been there a few times. And Brackley Town, actually, who were relegated, I think, at the end of the season in the National League. That was a club with quite an impressive sort of setup, really. You just realise how much non-league clubs at the higher levels, they're like small businesses, really. They've got staff in the kitchens, volunteers, investment in their bars and social clubs. So, I thought Brackley was quite impressive in its own way.
And having done this journey from Bradford Town to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, does it still mean as much, the FA Cup, to the smaller clubs?
Yeah, it means a great deal to the smaller clubs, Stephen. I think, let's be honest about it, because of that prize money now. It's well worth winning a couple of games if you can. Only a couple of games is going to get you, a decent amount of money. It definitely means a lot to the smaller clubs. I think this is a personal view, but I think the Cup's sort of come through its crisis years. I think probably 15, 20 years ago, we had that year when Manchester United didn't defend it as the holders. That was 2000, wasn't it? And all the existential angst about the FA Cup that we went through then. The final is never going to get back to being the great national occasion that it was, where, it sort of stops the country. Obviously, that's not going to happen again. We still get those third, fourth, and fifth round ties taking place in half-empty grounds, which causes me great grief. But some of that has gone as well. I mean, Villa had a little run 2 seasons ago and had full houses for all their home because they discounted the tickets sensibly. So I think the Cup's come through its little bit of crisis, actually, and I think it's now thriving again. It will never be that great occasion that is that you can walk into a pub and hear conversations or on a bus and hear conversations about the FA Cup. It will never be that again, but I think it's definitely through the worst, if you know what I mean, and it's now back as a proper place in the football calendar.
But the magic for the small clubs, it's still alive. I relate back to my own town, March, who they
Oh, yeah.
do play in the FA Cup, and
Marshtown United, yeah.
we've reached the FA Cup twice. The first time in 1955, which was before I was born, and they lost to Brentford, I think 6-1. But in 1978, I was 17. I fondly remember going on a coach to see them play Swindon, and that seemed like so far away in those days on a coach. And we lost 2-0.
Right.
Never been back since, but that's 50 years ago coming up now. But
Yeah, nice.
there must be so many towns and smaller towns and even March that still have that dream of getting to the first round and even further.
Yeah, that's definitely part of it, isn't it? As I say, that a lot of the clubs playing on August the 7th and 8th, probably, the summit of their ambitions will be to get 2 or 3 rounds and get a bigger non-league club. But, you never know. I think Skelmersdale a couple of seasons ago went from the extra preliminary to the first round proper. I mean, that's an amazing achievement. That's 6 rounds. So, yeah, they'll all be everybody playing, on in those ties will be dreaming of that, won't they? Dreaming of and that's what's so magical about it. The fact that it includes and encompasses the whole of senior football, that's a really magical thing.
Plus, it must really be a competition that can advertise a player as well, because you might get to that first round because you've got a player probably who really shouldn't be playing for you and probably the next season won't be, but for that
Yeah.
season he can make a real difference.
Yeah. Well, I think Jamie Vardy was probably noticed playing in FA Cup ties for his various non-league clubs. So yeah, definitely. And I think one thing the FA do nicely now, another thing the FA have is they do a top scorer trophy, don't they, for the whole competition. So, you can, there's a presentation before the cup final to the guy, and it's usually someone from non-league, who scored the most goals in the competition. So that's another lovely touch.
You must have met some characters along the way, though. Can you remember some?
There's always characters at non-league football. I can't give you specifics. I mean, my pal David and I, we have a good laugh along the way, and we're joined at various points by other friends, who can possibly only make one tie. So we do have a good time, and yeah, we're always chatting to people, at the tea bars and the program sellers, and you do meet some eccentric characters. I remember that, back at that Bradford Town game, they knew that if they beat Bournemouth, they were going to be playing Westbury nearby, so a derby. Westbury higher up the ladder. So I remember as we left the ground, someone told us, Westbury had won. So they knew they were going to be playing Westbury, and they were delighted. They went out to Westbury, by the way, but so yeah, non-league football's full of, terrific characters and people who are, the heart and soul of the game, really.
And you'd recommend someone else to do this? You wouldn't put anyone off trying it, going from
No,
beginning to
I
end?
wouldn't put it. I mean, I'm not alone in this. As I said earlier, there's plenty of other people doing it, and I think there's a Twitter account for people who do follow it. Follow it round by round and try and get. Obviously, as the tournament goes on, they're getting increasingly desperate for tickets. But no, I wouldn't. I would strongly recommend it to anyone interested in football who wants to see, the whole game, not just the Premier League stars, the whole game. And you'll get your Premier League stars, by the third round.
And you're contemplating doing it again?
Yeah, going to have a crack again and try and get a bit further this time. I mean, obviously that I've already shifted a holiday that my wife wanted to book, so obviously that involves some domestic negotiation. So yeah, I'm going to start. I've got on August the 8th. I've got a complicating a cricket related complication at midday, so I can't travel far. But I am going to be able to get to a game on that day. Yeah.
So you're not considering a Friday night game then? No.
No, I had a look at them this morning, Stephen. That's a possibility. Yeah, that's a possibility. But there's none that close. So I'm thinking of this is an exclusive for the podcast. I'm thinking of Devizes Town v Hamworthy Recreation. That's what I'm thinking of on this.
We'll have to check whether they've got social media, and then we can tag them then.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, please do. Yeah.
But any final reflections then on your journey from the extra preliminary round to the third round?
Well, it was great fun. I enjoyed it enormously. As I say, I'm going to have another crack at it. We're both going to have another crack at it. And it really helps you understand what a magnificent competition this is, and what a great, I mean, the FA Cup is, along with Shakespeare and Charles Dickens and the Beatles, it's one of the great English things, one of the things that we should be most proud about. There's 743 clubs entering. That's just fantastic, isn't it? And we should cherish that, and really, and starting in the early rounds, following it through. That's the best way you can experience that magic, really.
Well, thank you very much, Richard, for being my guest on our What Was It Like To series.
Thank you very much, Stephen. It's been great to speak to you again.
You've been listening to an episode from our What Was It Like To series on the Paddock and the Pavilion. You can find more episodes in this series covering cricket, horse racing, athletics and snooker on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify or on our YouTube channel. Thanks for listening, and I hope you'll join me again soon for another edition of the Paddock and the Pavilion.
Hello?
Look what TJ Maxx dragged in.
The Devil Wears Prada 2 is now streaming on Disney Plus and Hulu.
We are digital, we are downloadable, we are streamable.
The fashion event of the year is certified fresh.
Pull yourself together, we have work to do.
Critics say it's smart and witty and the perfect sequel.
That's all.
Get runway ready for The Devil Wears Prada 2 on Disney Plus and Hulu. Rated PG-13.
Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I was looking for fun ways to tell you that Mint's offer of unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month is back. So I thought it would be fun if we made $15 bills. But it turns out that's very illegal. So there goes my big idea for the commercial. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan required. $15 per month equivalent. Taxes and fees extra. Initial plan term only. Greater than 50 gigabytes may slow when network is busy. See terms.